Hi. So today I'll be answering a bunch of questions on leveraging English learning assets and building home and school connections. So the question is, what are the cultural influences on teaching and learning? So cultural influences are what shapes the teaching and learning styles in diverse classrooms. It focuses on the students' beliefs, values, and practices they experience from their home countries and from their families. It also affects their personalities, communication styles, and lifestyle choices. For example, here in America, we believe that eye contact is showing a form of respect, and it acknowledges people to know that when you're listening to what the other person is saying. However, in other countries like in Japan or in different places like China or Egypt, the children are taught to look at other people's necks or any other parts of their faces because eye contact with someone too long could be considered a sign of disrespect. So cultural competence is a form of effective instruction for EL students. It uses the student's ability to listen and communicate, to interact with students from different cultures, and to respect them when acknowledged. So those different types of cultures can be acknowledged in the classroom by having each student present what they know and what they learned from their families, and having each student become aware of all the new cultures that are surrounding in the classroom. Gives the students a sense of independence and courage to be proud of their cultures. Now, another question is, what is the role of culture in student learning? So the role of having culture in the classroom learning environment helps the students shape who they are as an individual. So students walk in with little to no knowledge of who they are, where they come from. Some are aware of aware of those things by their families, or the country they were born in, or where the family was from. It is our job as educators to embrace all cultures, traditionals, and lifestyles in the classroom and show students different types of expectations needed in the classroom, and show students different types of expectations needed also in the classrooms. So in order to do that, there's going to be like a bunch of visual cues and graphics in the classroom to make it inclusive, like where the materials will be or where things belong, and translation words all around the classroom to help the students feel more open to ask more questions or express their concerns. So what are some of the strategies for supporting and celebrating cultural diversity within instruction? So what are some strategies for leveraging home languages and cultural assets? So there are many different ways that the schools can support diverse holidays and traditions. So we are currently going through Ramadan. So at our school, we have been receiving a lot of emails from different teachers of what to expect for students who are participating in Ramadan, especially from our world language department chair. She sent us a bunch of symptoms such as fatigue, sleepiness, headaches, a lot of physical symptoms that any of our students can experience. And we are still, like, as educators, we need to acknowledge those symptoms and also support their decision and not judge. So another strategy is reminding the students to always have respect, not just to their culture, but others as they respect theirs, as you would expect them to respect yours. There are so many other holiday traditions, such as Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead, Hanukkah, and Chinese New Year. As we are heading towards supporting the needs of ELs in the classroom, one of the questions was, what are the strategies for responsiveness to the different strengths, needs, and identities of all the EL students, including special needs? So, as someone who works in the special education department and learning more about the EL program, EL students, as I've started this course, is that both have very similar aspects in the classroom. They both require modified content to help regulate their learning habits, but also help adapt to new content and materials that their classmates have better understanding of. Some materials can be challenging for EL students, especially the students with special needs. So creating content that modifies that can help them understand better, can come a long way for the students. Another strategy is including the students' culture into the material, using their home language and traditions to make them feel more relevant and feeling more valued and understood. Another question is, what is the importance of understanding the social, emotional, cultural needs of students with establishing classroom routine and procedures. So it's one thing to educate students in understanding content from different subjects such as math, social studies, and science. However, it's another thing to teach the students to understand the importance of establishing rules, routines, and procedures in the classroom. So there are classroom rules and procedures that are different in other countries compared to America. Some America prefers students must greet their students a certain way, or students students must take their shoes off or wear different shoes. Students must greet their teachers and students in a different way compared to what we do in America. So as an educator, I would do role playing to show the students how routines and procedures play a role in the classroom. For example, I will play out what all the students must do in the beginning of the day, during transition, at the end of the days, during lunch, quiet time, and computer time, just to show that the students what it needs to have a structured classroom. So we're heading towards the last portion, which is home and school connections. So how might family and communities practice influence language learning, and what are some strategies to help build and foster strong family, community, and school partnerships? So there are a lot of outreach programs that each district can provide. That's one big thing that a lot of EO students need to know, especially the families who are transitioning from one country to another. So I understand it's difficult sending your child from one country to another and having them to transfer to a completely different environment that they're not aware of at a young age. It's very common for families to become involved in the student's academic process, including the parents and guardians in their academic process is one strategy to help build rapport, but not just the student, but with the family as well. Working with them to find different alternatives to work with their children to ensure that they are comfortable in the classroom can come a long way for the student. Parents can also be included in the students' assignments since they will be modified for the students to understand the content easily. Some of the content the parent can help the students with at home, and there's a lot of community researches and outreach programs in the school district to help the parent and the families go through transitions and find different programs that can help with housing, food, transportation, and job opportunities. There are always resources and materials that can help students and families move from one country and moving here from different countries. I really hope all this information helped you guys today. I really hope that this really helps impact your future in America, and we look forward to having you.